Big Country Politics on KTAB continues.
Welcome back to Big Country Politics. State Representative Stan Lambert is joining us here. Now, you've been a busy man, right, Stan?
We've been busy. We have. We've been doing a lot of things in the community and just trying to keep the communication channels open and interpreting for local officials as well as conference calls with the governor and Congressman Arrington. So we've been busy delivering PPE to various medical offices and around the district. So our staff and myself, we've tried to stay very, very active and very involved.
Very good. All right. So this last week we did see in the news, you were a big proponent of making sure that folks, I need it, could get a haircut. So the governor, his new executive order, which takes effect Friday, hair salons, barbers can be open. Your reaction to that?
Well, I think he made the right decision. I think that's what concerned a lot of us when the first executive order came out and some of these small businesses were not included. They're some of the most licensed and well-trained and certainly have a lot of education about hygiene and safe environments and good practices. So it just seemed logical for us to voice that to the governor and make sure that he understood that we felt like these businesses certainly deserved a kind of a relook. And he was responsive to that and then made the modification in the executive order. So very glad to see that.
And you'll be first in line?
I will be first in line tomorrow morning.
Very good. Tell me kind of your response to how Governor Abbott and his strike force are doing to reopen Texas and just their overall response to COVID-19 in Texas.
I think they've done a good job. I think the governor has tried to find that middle ground, that balance in terms of both sides of the argument. We understand that. But he's been very responsive. He's been very intuitive in terms of asking a lot of advice from his medical team, from his strike force, and I think he's done a good job. I think we've seen how different parts of the state may need to be looked at a little differently, but certainly out here in West Texas, I think we're moving in the right direction, and I've been pleased with the way he's responded so far.
Very good. Talk to me a little bit about the balance and obviously making sure that, folks stay healthy and our hospitals, stay open and with enough room, and also the balance of making sure our economy stays alive. It's Small Business Week. I know you participated in that with the Abilene Chamber. Talk to me about that balance.
Well, it is a fine line, and I think that's one thing that Governor Abbott, even up to President Trump, have tried to find. Where is that balance in terms of people want to go back to work, people want to earn a living, they want to take care of their families. You saw what happened in Dallas County just in the last few days, where a salon operator was actually arrested and put in jail for keeping her business alive, and she basically said, look, I've got to take care of my children and feed them. So, there is a fine line, and we understand that the safety and making sure that we're looking at the data and the science and all that is important. We certainly empathize with the families that have been affected and impacted by COVID-19. Our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers go out to those families that certainly where deaths have occurred, but at the same time, I think people are going to need to see this economy start coming back again. We need to see small businesses reopen, and as you mentioned, the small business drive that we're in this week in terms of locally in Abilene and Taylor County and our local Chamber of Commerce, is very important that we try to make sure that those local businesses get the support they need to try to come back and recover from about 2 months of really no cash flow, no income and no revenue coming in, but still expenses continue. So we've got to get those small businesses back in the game.
You hear a lot, obviously, from Abilene business and business owners here in the community. What are you hearing from them right now?
Well, I think we're hearing that it's been a struggle, and they've certainly needed the input of government in terms of SBA lending, in terms of what our federal government has responded. And we've talked to several of those small business owners. Some of the frustration about trying to apply and getting their applications processed and looked at. It was, as you think about it, I mean, a lot of applications really came down a small tube in a very short period of time, and so there was some backlog, there was some problems as far as the technology that was able to handle that many applications. But so far, I think most of the ones that needed the help, that needed the PPE loans, the payroll protection loans, as well as the EIDL loans, some of that's still out there, some of that still needs to be processed and looked at. But overall, the small business owners, I think, are starting to feel a little bit more optimistic now that the governor has opened the door. and allowed some of those businesses to reopen, I think we're seeing some good things happen.
All right, very good. You know, here in Abilene, our numbers aren't real. They're doing, okay. You look to places like the Panhandle with beef packing plants, and Amarillo, and in Moore County and Cactus, and so those folks are really getting the punch. Mayor Ginger Nelson in Amarillo, they've got the feds in town. So how do you think Abilene overall in Taylor County, how are we doing?
I think for a community our size, with an interstate highway, with our prison populations that are very close by, with a number of employees that work and serve in those type of environments, with our manufacturing entities and so forth that have a lot of employees clustered together that work very close side by side, we understood that there were going to be some hot spots, that there were going to be some spread of the virus in our local community. But I think overall, I think the numbers are fairly indicative of what a town our size. I know that, like you said, Amarillo has experienced, Lubbock has experienced a lot larger number than Abilene. You look at San Angelo, Wichita Falls, they're smaller, but they're not on an interstate, and they're not maybe having the same kind of conditions that impact our local economy. So I think overall, I think we've managed to do a good job in terms of our mayor and city manager and our county judge and what they've decided to implement as far as eliminating and not eliminating, but containing the spread at the very beginning, making sure that we had the right policies, the right directions in place, and so far I think we've done a good job.
All right, and we're not done chatting with Representative Lambert, so when we come back here on Big Country Politics, we'll talk about him and his advice. I think he's got a mask in his hand, so we'll talk a little bit about wearing masks here. We're back in 2 minutes.